Now, about 2 weeks ago now, I can't quite remember how long ago it was, but Anna built her first ever gaming PC, and she actually really nailed it. If you want to have a look at that video because you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I'll have it linked in the video description below. But today, we're gonna have a look at how that PC performs. Now I'm just going to do a quick overview of the actual performance components, not of everything else, just so that you know what kind of build we're looking at here. Oh, and just on a quick side note, after the benchmarks and some discussion about the performance, I'm going to show some footage of Anna actually gaming on the system and discussing how she feels about the actual gaming experience. She doesn't have the most experience when it comes to like gaming on a bunch of different systems, but I think it's a really interesting perspective to have on just the gaming performance of a new system.
Looks pretty smooth.
Now, as far as the CPU goes, it's the first Intel build we've done on this channel in a really long time, and she used an i5-9400F with 16 gigs of DDR4, 2666 megahertz. It's like Corsair Vengeance LPX memory. The graphics card is actually a Gigabyte Vega 56 card, and we'll have a look at thermals later. I know that there are some concerns around that card. And yeah, there's like a 500 gig SSD and like a Fantex P300, and we have like a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition, which is like my favorite cooler ever. Now, first things first, let's have a chat about the actual temperatures and how I ran the system. Now, the CPU you can't overclock, it's locked, so there's nothing really interesting to talk about there. But with the graphics card, I did a small kind of memory overclock and a little bit of a core overclock. I'll show you the settings on the screen here. It's nothing major. Now, in regards to temperatures, while gaming, the PC did fairly well, especially considering the fact that there isn't an intake fan on the case, and it doesn't have the greatest airflow. But so as far as the graphics card goes, it was sitting at about 74-75 degrees Celsius while gaming for an extended period of time, and the CPU was sitting at about 10 degrees less than that. And I honestly think that's quite acceptable. That's with an ambient temperature of about 28 degrees. Then today I did full-on stress tests, so that's Furmark on the graphics card and AIDA64 on the CPU, and the max temperatures we hit was 72 degrees on the CPU and 75 degrees on the GPU, which is about the same as the gaming temperatures for the GPU, but the ambient temperature was at 25 degrees Celsius, so it was a little bit cooler when I did those tests. And now it's time for the benchmarks. So I did benchmark a couple of games. Now, when looking at the actual games, I'm actually going to discuss Apex Legends first because I spent a lot of time playing that after benchmarking, just because I'm very comfortable with how the game feels and I can tell how the system performs with it compared to other systems. And at 1080p on a 144Hz monitor, the gaming experience was really smooth. It's one of the better gaming experiences I've ever had. It's similar to all of the higher end systems that I've tested. And one of the reasons for that is, well, the average is basically 144 frames per second. And what's really nice is it doesn't dip significantly below 100 frames per second, which is the point where I start to notice the dips. So honestly, the gaming experience has been really good on the system. In regards to the rest of the games, this system would do really well for 60 frames per second 1440p gaming at ultra settings, or 144Hz 1080p gaming but with a bit lower settings. For some of the games, it did struggle to get the higher refresh rate 1080p results, but it still did really well, and the system actually kept quite quiet. It wasn't much noise or much louder than the ambient noise in the room. So as far as gaming performance, the system does about as well as you'd expect. It's not a very expensive system and it games really well. I actually think that graphics card, the Vega 56, is a really good purchase if you can get it for not much money. And then finally, here is just some footage of Anna gaming on the system, telling us what she thinks about the actual gaming experience.
Ah! Darn it.
Yeah, Nico, her driving skills are really subpar. But how is it running? Like, we're sitting at about 90 frames per second.
Oh my god, it's so fun. It's running really well. Oh, I'm definitely going onto a highway the wrong way around.
Well, yeah, no, it's running quite well. Like, it's not the most amazing frame rate, but the graphics are
Okay,
cranked.
why haven't I got more stars? Like, I've been being super badass right now.
Yeah, but you haven't really killed anyone. So it's when you start like murdering the police that it.
So what if I hit the guy on the bike? Looks pretty smooth.
Does it feel any different? I'd be really surprised if it does, but.
Nah, not really.
It just runs well.
It just runs well.
And with that, thank you very much for watching what I think is going to be a fairly short video. If you're in the market for a gaming PC, I think this kind of setup's really good. Although, as far as the CPU goes, I think at this point, something like a Ryzen 5 3600 is a better bet because you get 6 more threads because of the hyper-threading, and that CPU also overclocks. It's a really good CPU in my opinion. But this is a really good PC. It performs really well. Anyway, with that, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, do like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. And until the next video, bye-bye.